We're trying to go to sleep here. Sorry. Okay, time for my story and experiences about the Devil's Tower in Jersey. Okay, a couple years ago, me and my friends decided to go to the Devil Tower in Jersey because, I like the paranormal and ghost hunting, and I just find all that stuff fascinating. And my friends were looking for a thrill and something to scare them. So we all piled up into one van and headed on out. 12 a.m. at night, because we wanted a thrill. This week in particular, my parents decided to go to Vegas for a week, and the house was all to myself. My brothers were at my grandmother's house, my parents were going to Vegas, and I was alone. So I took my cell phone, my cell phone with me, and we all went to the tower. I wanted to test the urban legend that if you drive backwards 3 times in the tower, that Mr. Rionanda, his wife, or the devil himself will appear from the top of the tower. That's the rumor. So, we got there to the tower, we got through the entrance, right, and we looked at the tower. We all got in the car and decided, let's test it. And we drove backwards 3 times. And we stood there. Nothing happened. My friend wanted to reassure, maybe we didn't drive in 3 full circles backwards. So he drove in 3 full circles around the tower. Again, we did it correct this time. We all got out and huddled around the van and looked at the tower. Nothing happened. It was uber dark too because, no lights or anything. That tower was just like pure darkness. Just like no light. The only light that you have is that illuminating from the moon. That's pretty much it. There's just like dead trees and everything, and then the tower itself, but there are no lights. And so we're just standing there with the light of the moon and the light that's from the van and whatever, and that we have on us. Nothing else. And we're looking up at the tower expecting to see something, and nothing happens. The wind starts kicking up, and it starts throwing the leaves in the air around us and whatnot. And I found it really strange because that day was a partially dead day, no wind. It was just mild and plain, no wind. And it just all of a sudden became extremely windy for no apparent reason. There's wind kicking up, and then it's just strange when powerful gusts just happen out of nowhere for no reason, especially when the whole day was just dead, right? So we simply thought the wind was kicking up, so we ignored it, right? And so we stood there and stood there and stood there and waited for something to happen, and nothing happened. So we decided, oh, fuck it, we're gonna get in our car and go home all upset. So, we're driving back and we're talking, we're BSing with each other, when my cell phone rings, right? My cell phone rings, and I look at it, and I have caller picture ID, right? So I look at it, and it says, home, call coming from home, right? And I looked at the phone call, crazy, right? Because ain't nobody in my house. I'm alone that week. I have home, I have home named on my cell phone for my house. So when somebody calls me from my house, it says home. So my mom calls me from her cell phone, it says mom's cell, and so forth. That's how it works. I was getting a phone call from home. I simply thought it was a glitch. So boop, close the phone. Right? Kept talking. A couple of minutes later, my phone rang again. Picked it up, looked at the caller ID. It said, call home. The call was coming from home, but there was nobody in my house. I was the only one sleeping in that house that week, and nobody was there. Nobody has the keys to my house, nothing. I picked up the phone, and I was like, hello? And all I got was gargled static and what seemed to be something trying to talk through that gargled static, like moans and cries or something. But you couldn't hear, it was just like shh, shh. That's all I got. That's when I dropped my cell phone, all creeped out and stuff like that, because I'm getting gargled, ghostly voices through my cell phone and my house, and I'm getting calls from my house that when there's nobody there. So my friends looked at the cell phone and said, well, it's just probably a connection failure or reception failure or something to that matter. So they closed my phone, assumed that my phone was spazzing out. The driver's phone started ringing, right? He picked it up. Same gargled voices. He thought it was a prank phone call, called his phone. closed his phone. Another friend's phone rang, but when he picked it up, it said that himself was calling. He has his cell phone number as me, so when he picked up his phone and he saw his caller ID, it said me. How can your phone call itself? Same gargled voices. By a good amount of the trip, all of our phones rang, and we all got that gargled voices. Some of us didn't even have freaking people in the house that we were at, and we were getting phone calls from all these strange places with nobody there at all. To say the least, we started speeding out of there, and we all slept over at one person's house who had family there. We all slept in the basement because we sure as hell weren't sleeping at home that night.